Alright guys, what do you think is more important, gear or skill? Skill, of course. Gear does matter, but it doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does, and I'm going to show you why. In this, I got bored, alright? So I had max currency of conquest commendations. I was like, what am I going to do with it? Let's buy full tank gear. So you guys all heard of skank tanks. Well, skank tank is DPS gear on a tank spec. This is completely opposite. So it's all tank gear on a DPS spec, which I'm going to call shitty DPS. Anyway, does it work? No, it does not. Do not do this. I am trolling. All right, but anyway, look at this. Defense rating and shield chance on every single piece of gear, even the earpiece, even the implants, even the relics. I do not have a DPS tactical. I'm using grit teeth, and we are playing concentration sentinel. So I'm going to show you snapshots of the damage that I did in the overall war zone. And I outdamaged a lot of people, guys. Something's wrong here. This is not supposed to happen. This setup here is literally the worst gear that you could possibly have on a DPS character, all right? A lot of these are 320. Even if they were upgraded, it doesn't matter because it doesn't have the stats that I want. I got no crit, no alacrity, no accuracy. I have absorption rating, which doesn't do shit, and I have defense rating, which barely does shit. So there you have it. Do not think that gear is what's holding you back from performing well, okay? If I can do 6k DPS in all tank gear, you guys can definitely do better than that, and I will help you get there. I am not trying to put anybody down. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but what I am trying to do is I'm trying to encourage you guys to try harder and to improve, all right? So if you have any questions or anything, I'm going to put a Discord channel link down in the description. You guys can join it, ask me questions. I do have a full-time job, so I may not get to it right away, and sometimes I just forget to check that Discord, but go ahead and leave any kind of questions you guys have down there. Watch my videos. I will also put a link in the description to all of the guides that I've made so far, and you guys can always leave comments down there and ask me questions about anything, and I'll always try to help. All right guys, with all of that out of the way, let's get right into the purpose of this video, and that is my top tips on how to improve in Star Wars: The Old Republic PvP. Let's go.
I'm just calling to say I
Alright guys, my first thing that I want to talk about is adjusting your UI. So if you look at mine, what I did was I moved everything a little bit higher than having everything flat on the bottom of the screen. And the reason for that is every time I want to look down at my cooldowns and then look back up to see what's going on in the war zone, the further your eyes have to travel, you're just losing a little bit of time every time you have to look down and look back up, look down, look back up. So I moved everything up a little bit so that whenever I need to glance down at my cooldowns, you know, it's not as far of a stretch to look down there, gather some information, and then look back up and see what's happening, okay? The other thing here too is if you're focused on the target in the middle of your screen, you know, the further up your skills are, you know, without making it look ugly or without having it block, you know, too much of your vision, it is easier to see for sure. If you don't know how to do this, you hit escape and go into the interface editor here, and you can click and drag and move things around and adjust the size of them, you know, move the position and whatever, okay? Also, talking about the interface editor here, another really good thing to use is the focus target, okay? So if you hit escape and go into preferences and go to key bindings and then go to targeting down here, set focus target, swap focus target. So I have mine on shift 7. So I have a mouse that has 12 buttons on it, so I could easily hit shift and hit the 7 and boom, there it is, okay? You also need to have this turned on in your interface editor though. So if they're not turned on, it'll be a red bar here, and you just have to find it, move it to where you want it, turn it on, adjust the size, whatever, right? Having a focus target is really nice because, for example, I use it the most when I'm trying to be more aware of my team. So I usually put focus target on my teammate that's guarding a node, right? Like, let's say, for example, I'm fighting at mid, whatever map it is, and east or west, snow or grass, whatever, somebody else is guarding that node. So what I'll do sometimes is I will open up my map, I will hover over their name on the map and see who it is that's guarding, and then I'll click on their name on the operations frame and set them as my focus target. This way, if they fail to communicate with the team in the chat, if they start taking damage, I will see it if I'm paying attention, and then I can rotate over and help them defend the node. So that's one way to use focus targeting. Another way to use it is if you have like a healer on the enemy team that's marked, or another strong DPS, whatever it is, right? You can set somebody as your focus and go for them, but whenever they use defensive cooldowns or they get away from you, whatever, you could easily, switch targets for the time being. And if you have a hard time retargeting the person you really want to target, well, you have them right here on your focus target. So all you have to do is click it, right? Let's click off of this target and target this guy, right? All you have to do is click it, and there he is, right? Or you can hit the button again for your set focus target button, and it'll switch here to here, right? So this is my current target. This is my focus target. If I want to switch it, now this is my, current target, and this is my focus target, for example, right? So let's say I set this guy as my focus. I start attacking him. He gets away from me. I need to switch targets. I'll go ahead and switch to this guy, start attacking him. And then when this guy is available to attack again, instead of having to run over and try to fumble with the tab targeting, you can easily just hit your button that will switch the two back, and then you could easily switch right back onto this target, okay? Alright guys, the next tip that I want to talk about here is actually using the Warzone training dummy, or any dummy for that matter, and practicing a rotation all the time. There's dummies on the fleet that you can access, there's dummies that you can unlock on your ship, there are dummies in this Rishi stronghold. So every time I'm queued up for PvP but not actively playing, this is where I'm at. I'm over here practicing a rotation on the Warzone training dummy, just to establish that muscle memory, get used to your cooldowns, how long they take to come back up, and just overall practice in general. Some rotations are harder than others. Some classes, the rotation is a little bit more straightforward and it's easy to just do the same rotation over and over and over, but other classes it's not as obvious, and the longer you can do your rotation, the better, right? Practicing a rotation will not instantly, it will directly translate to doing your rotation in PvP, right? If you get this muscle memory down and you know what you're supposed to be doing and not missing any globals, right? And what I mean by that is, missing a global means where there's a time where you are inactive, right? If you ever get like a little bit confused of what you're supposed to be doing at the moment and you are inactive, that's not a good thing. You should always be able to hit a global cooldown every single second that you're able to. So practice on the Warzone training dummy often, establish that muscle memory, and keep up your DPS. Also, you should use SWTOR Parse. If you don't know what SWTOR Parse is, it is a third-party program that you can download. I will put a link to that in the description below. Use SWTOR Parse to check up on your DPS, test rotations, practice things, and yeah, can't really say too much about it. Practice your rotation on the Warzone training dummy. Alright guys, next tip that I want to talk about is how to improve your awareness, and it's very simple. All you have to do is zoom your camera out. Wow. When you do that, you have to go to preferences here, go to controls in the game tab, and in the second section right here, camera max distance. Put it at the max distance or whichever distance is comfortable for you. Sometimes people, sometimes this is too far, but my example here, very plain and obvious, but I do see a lot of people playing very zoomed in, even more so, maybe like this. But, when you're fighting, all you can see is what's in front of you when you're zoomed in like this, and you can't see anything to the side. But as soon as I zoom out a little bit, now I can see these guys over here on the side, and just increasing the overall awareness. Alright guys, the last thing I want to talk about here is not taking the Warzone too seriously and just looking to improve your own gameplay, right? Star Wars is a team game. There are objectives in it. Some people play the objectives, some people don't. That's just a fact. If you are too heavily focused on the objective and too focused on winning the entire time, eventually you will get fed up and eventually you will start to flame your team. Do not point fingers at anybody, for the reasons why you lost. Instead, just look to yourself and figure out ways that you could have played the game better to improve, right? And improving in itself, there's different ways you can break it down to improve on certain skill sets in PvP. Because PvP is not just, clicking a node and capping the objective, right? There's so many things that go into PvP. When you're a beginner and you're learning all of this, you can take certain games and set specific goals for each game, One game you can try to improve your DPS. Another game you can focus the healer only the entire match. Another game you can try to run the hut ball. Another game you can be the node guard, right? Focus on whatever it is that you want to improve on in that game, and don't really worry about the win or the loss, right? Because I played thousands and thousands of games. The wins come and the losses come. You will get your gear eventually. I understand that when people are playing, they want to quickly get their gear, right? Winning will get your gear faster, right? That's pretty obvious. But sometimes it won't, right? Because you are at the mercy of your teammates. If you go in there with the intention of winning, you might be the only one that wants to do that, right? Let's be real here. So if you're too focused on the win, sometimes it'll get to you where, you try super hard, and then you end up losing anyway, and then the game is just not fun anymore. It just becomes stressful instead, right? So just have fun, play the games with the intention of winning, but when things don't go your way, definitely don't start flaming people. Don't be a keyboard warrior and start, typing in the chat and telling your team that they suck. Instead, just focus on how you can improve, right? There's another thing here that I want to say is, of course you want to win, right? And playing objectives gets you the win. But let's just take an example here, like over the long term, right? Let's say you play a stealth class, and this is just the easiest example that I can think of, right? Let's say you play a stealth class, so every time you get a hut ball, you run straight to the end zone and you tell your team, I'm gonna wait in the end zone for a pass, right? Which let me be absolutely clear here. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Because that's what gets you the win, right? If somebody can pick up the ball and run it to the end and throw it up at you, right? But over the course of a long period of time, let's say you play 30, 40, 50 games, and in every single war zone, you are that guy, right? You are the guy that will guard the node that might never have any incoming players, right? Or you're the guy that stands at the end of the hut ball field waiting for somebody to pass the ball to you. Or you are the guy that's perma stealth, next to the void star doors, just waiting for everybody to leave so that you can cap the door, right? Over the course of 50 games, how much are you actually improving your gameplay? Not a lot, right? I'd rather, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's all you want to do, then that's fine. But if you're trying to actually improve in PvP, player versus player, you have to partake in the player versus player, right? So, every once in a while, sure, be the guy that does that, right? If you want to get the win, you can always do that. But every single game over the course of a long period of time, to me, in my opinion, that's not really helping you improve. That's just maybe increasing your chances of winning every now and then, because like I said, you're always at the mercy of your teammates, and that's not always going to net a win. And by doing that and being so focused on the win every single time, that's going to turn you into a toxic, player, because then you'll end up just, keyboard warrioring it, telling your team that they suck and all that. So anyway, just have fun, play the game, look to improve, don't blame your teammates, look to yourself, and always figure out what you could have done to get better. And that's going to be my final tip for this video. And good luck out there in PvP. I will see you guys on another one. Peace. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on another one. Don't forget to check me out on twitch.tv/RageQuittingGaming.
I'm just calling